welcome to But Like Why the podcast with your hosts Taylor Kelley and Stephanie McIntosh. This is episode 2. How are you doing this week, Taylor?
I'm doing good. It's Saturday.
Yeah. Beautiful sunny day in South Florida or North
Yes.
Florida.
Florida
Two
in
different
general.
parts of Florida. For this week, I think we're going to just go deeper into what we went through last week, and you can kind of get to know your host a bit more.
Yes. So I kind of wanted to build off of what we were talking about last week with the artist's journey. So Stephanie, what inspires you as a creative or as an artist?
That's such a good question because I feel like many things have inspired me. Like, I went through a period of time where it was like when I went to art school, it was kind of just like I wanted to take as many liberal arts classes as I could because I felt like the more information I could learn, the more diverse and interesting my art could become. So, before it was kind of like history influenced me a lot. And then it became just kind of like my past influenced me a lot. I'd make a lot of graphic work about just like how I've developed and then my friends and like what was around me. And I think that still to a certain degree does influence me a lot. But as I feel like as I've become older, it's kind of been about just how there's so many different realms in our experience. And even like how it's like you go through a course of a day and you can feel really up and then really down and then really excited. And each one of those moments like represents like a different realm. So I think that's why I've been drawn to filmmaking for so long, because it's like you're able to capture and embody those moments in one kind of medium. So for me, I think that's kind of just like where I've been building up to. It's like learning different skill sets to eventually combine them all into filmmaking and creating projects and kind of time capsules to capture different moments in like the character or the individual's life.
Yeah, great answer. Yeah, because I feel like it evolves as you go. You know what I mean? It's like you're so different now, like versus when you were 18 years old. Of course, your art will, change and grow with you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that's the thing about filmmaking. It's always been so interesting to me. It's like it's not really like a young man's game. Like I think there are some incredible filmmakers that are like in their early 20s, but I think the best filmmakers are kind of like in their 30s and their 40s and the 50s, because I think you have to experience a certain amount of life, whether it's like extreme highs, extreme lows, to be able to articulate just the full spectrum of life and to be able to depict it in a way that is relatable to different generations and different people and people from different spectrums and areas. I think that's what makes a good filmmaker, is just somebody who's kind of experienced like disappointment, but then also extreme highs, extreme lows, and has the opportunity to like expose themselves to different things. All that I think in general makes a good artist, let alone a good filmmaker.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well-rounded, you know.
Yeah. And that's hard to
Yeah, then
do
it's
because I feel like, it's like most people like, it's because I feel like we live in a world where it's like if I'm not like paying the rent and like making things work, it's really hard to find out a way to explore your creativity. And like the only way you can become a working creative is to allow yourself to explore. So it's like this eternal battle between like, oh, I want to be creative, I want to be able to explore these realms of myself, but then at the same time this like world won't allow me to get there because I have like all these responsibilities. And I think, you spend most of your artistic career in the beginning just trying to find a balance between two things.
yeah, definitely, and like find out kind of what you even want to portray to the world.
Yeah.
Um, so like, do you want to have like, or what kind of impact would you want to have on the world with your art or with the creative community? Like, is that something that you desire?
I feel like as a kid, I wanted to have this like very voluptuous career where, I was remembered for my work. And then I realized that created such an immense amount of pressure that I could never meet, because it's like you're kind of like, what comes first, chicken or the egg? When really it's just like the whole life spectrum is like what's most important, the journey. So I feel like for me, I think what really changed is I went to this it was a it was an exhibition. It was like a Louis Vuitton exhibition. It was about the guy who created Louis Vuitton, Mr. Louis Vuitton. And it
Mm-hmm.
was really cool because it had all of his like old people don't really the whole idea of the Louis Vuitton like luggage were all like handcrafted pieces of luggage. And he was like a boy. Like people don't know that he actually was an orphan. His parents died at a very young age. They believe his father taught him how to build out this intricate luggage system where like
Mm-hmm.
each little compartment had a space. Like you're talking about like really small boxes for things and like boxes and boxes and these really intricate, beautiful, crafted just pieces of art, to be honest. And
Yeah.
then he like went from this like farmland in France, traveled by foot to Paris, and then apparently like he would hand paint the little Louis Vuitton logo by hand. So it'd be like hundreds on like each piece of luggage. Really crazy stuff. And he would like sell them to travelers, and he used to always sew like a little four-leaf clover in each piece to for good luck.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the craziest thing about like when I went to the exhibition is like I was having a really hard time. I lost my job. I was kind of just like realizing like I don't want to do another office job, but I want to be creative. I don't know how to be creative. I don't know how to fit into this like world that I've created because it didn't feel like mine anymore. And I went to this exhibit, and I swear I feel like she was like an angel because she literally like shows me around. I see this luggage and she just tells me, she's like, this little boy created this stuff out of like immense pain, and
Mm-hmm.
now the whole world, I mean, the exhibit essentially was just like all the creators who've collaborated with him, and how he's lived this legacy that he never really could have seen developing. It's just like he just made this because he had to eat. And to me, I just learned it was like, it's like the world's gonna allow your, if you really are creating something with your heart and you're really like just fully involved with it, the world will kind of do the work for you. And it's more just important to like recognize like that you're putting your whole heart into something and that you really believe in it. And then I think that the world kind of creates a space for you on your own. So I guess the answer to that question is like I would love to create something that lasts forever. I believe wholeheartedly in quality over quantity. But I feel like waking up and being like, oh, I want to live forever is a super, it's kind of like a claustrophobic space to be in as an artist.
Yeah.
So I think like finding that, you have to like find that balance between like, oh, I want to create something that lasts, but also like not hold myself to that standard, like allow myself to have fun in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I feel like as a kid, I always wanted to be famous. Like, I was obsessed with Disney Channel. I wanted to be a pop star. Okay. And yeah, as I got older, I was like, actually, I don't want that at all. People are gonna follow me everywhere. That sounds like a nightmare. Like, why would,
Yeah.
does not appeal to me anymore.
No, yeah, I can relate. Like I thought like I
Yeah.
wanted to be an actor before I wanted to be a filmmaker. I thought that like being an actor would be like that. I just you grow up and you watch the Oscars and you grow up and they wear these beautiful gowns, and now it's like looking at it, it's like wow, I'm so grateful I didn't, because now I feel like they're all so crazy. Or they've been through such like intense stuff.
Oh yeah,
You know, like it's
it's a
it's
whole
it's
other world.
yeah, it's a lot of intense stuff going on over there. So I kind of just feel like, in the world, I mean, I think that at the same time too, it's like not that acting or being a pop star is an incredible art form, but I think that because like you grow up and you just see these like larger than life people, you forget that like there are so many different avenues to still do that. Like you can still play music and enjoy yourself and have fun. And even then, like I feel like once you really just like let go and release, life kind of creates a path for you.
Yes,
You're in your right spot, I guess. Especially with like YouTube and everything, like now where it's like you can kind of do whatever you want.
yes,
Um, it kind of opens up that lane.
yeah. It definitely does. I feel like with that though, there still is like this crazy amount of pressure like for YouTubers and like just even like SoundCloud artists. It's like they not that they want, I mean, some of them really do want fame right off the bat, or they're doing it to like make a way for themselves, but I feel like it still can be like super high pressure even though it's like you have all of the creative freedom and you have all the control. You know what I mean? There's still
Yeah.
like a that weird pressure behind it.
Yeah. And it's like, it's like, and, at the end of the day, it's like every artist wants to do a good job. So it's like, I
Hmm.
feel like even though there is that kind of intense pressure at the same time, it's like, oh, well, you want to be seen. Like nobody wants to go through all the work and then nobody hears it. I feel like
Yeah.
that's normal. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think too, like the better you get to, the more, I mean, that's like part of it. It's like the more you practice, the better that you get, the better, the stronger your voice becomes. And I think that that's like, I think artists, they're a really good artist to me is one that is so focused until they find their voice and they don't kind of stop. They don't stop until that voice is discovered. And that in
Hmm.
itself just takes a really long time. And I think that we kind of like, when you go to art school, there are some kids I think that like already had a very solid understanding of like who their voice was. But it's been really incredible since leaving, seeing some of my old like peers, and it's just like, wow, like you've really developed so much. And you can definitely
Hmm.
tell like who's been like focusing on their craft and like really been like trying to get, really, really just been really focusing on just like building off and getting really, really good. And I think that's like so exciting to watch too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's exciting. That's so
Yeah.
cute. Oh, I don't know. I just think about like all the little art people that we would hang out with. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what are they gonna
yeah.
end up like? And
Art school, I always say, was just such a trip because it's just like you learn just like how to. It's different than going to like a science based or like going to be a businessman like major, because it's more of just like you're learning the lifestyle. Like you're learning about like this is like what it's like to be an artist. And I think for me, like moving to LA was really hard because it was like I couldn't maintain that. Like I had to go to work, I had to be
hmm.
in like a business type setting, and I think like the first couple gigs I was able to get, I was able to like have sort of like a chill environment. But then once it got like into the office setting, I was like, oh, I kind of miss like I feel like I was free before. Like I want to figure out how to get back to that.
That's the worst. I think did we talk about that last time? Like being a creative and then being stuck in a box all day,
Yeah, it's like
and you're just like,
anti-creative.
why? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
No, it's my worst nightmare.
And I think that's part
Yeah.
of like the metamorphosis of a creative. It's just like you get to a point, it's like you either get to a point where it's like I can't do this anymore, so you like rearrange your life so you can strive towards like what really makes you happy, or you're one of the
Hmm.
lucky ones who like never really went for it and they were like in high school and created their own businesses, or you find it later in life. But I think it's kind of inevitable for every artist to kind of take that risk.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't go to art school. I just like am a creative person. I don't draw or paint or anything like that. I just express creativity like through um change my hair a lot.
Yeah,
I
you do. I
rearrange
feel
my
like
room a lot.
I'm so happy you've been like dyeing your hair because I feel like you came like I don't know, you're so creative in terms of like mixing dyes. Like I've never dyed my hair once, but like you were just able to like be like, oh, this color will go with this color, and you were able to like create these like beautiful uh, like it was like pieces of art each one. Like I feel like I don't
Oh,
know, it just shows like a lot of freedom and like I don't know, just like not trying to like just like having fun and seeing something in everything, even things that we're like
yeah.
used to seeing how a specific way.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so fun for me. Like I think it was we were maybe like 3 years into college, and I was like, I think I dyed my hair every 2 weeks at one point, a different color. And I did almost every color of the rainbow except for like black. I never dyed my hair black, but yeah, that was such a fun way for me to like express myself and to cope with life. Like life was just being really crazy, and I just felt like that was like a small sense of control that I had was, you know what? I can make myself look really cool at least and have fun doing it. Like the process of dyeing my hair was like very therapeutic. And then seeing myself like look different, like I almost felt like I could embody a different person with each color, or like a different attitude, or I don't know. And that was like really fun for me. That was a good way for me to like, I don't know, it's just an outlet.
Yeah, and it's like part of discovering your sense of freedom, which I think you know, everyone should go on that journey and discover their own sense of freedom in any way that they can. I think it's incredibly important. But
Yeah.
like, how do you think that, like, since like you kind of dabbled within that kind of realm, like how do you think that's led you to like where you are now creatively?
Um, what do you mean by realm? Like dabbled in what realm?
Well, I mean, like, just like kind of like going from like, okay, you would experiment in different colors, you dye your hair in
Hmm.
different like, and embody these different personalities. How did you like get to a point where, like, was it like you trying to like find and discover like which was like the right shade, the right like version of yourself, and like how do you think that that's inspired like where you are right now? If that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah. That's okay. So I feel like for me, it at least in the moment, I was never like trying to find like which one was best. It was really just a way for me to kind of escape a little bit, like escape my reality and create like a new version of myself. And I think that's really what it was. Like, because yeah, every time I would do it, I would be like, okay, that old girl, she's gone. So here I am. Now this is me. And it brought it brought this confidence out that I really wasn't used to because I feel like as a kid I was really like more shy and like I'm pretty introverted and it was a way for me to like be extroverted to the world. Like everyone would see me and think like, oh, I'm this crazy outgoing person, but really I'm very sensitive and I'm pretty to myself. So I don't know, it's definitely a combination of things. And now I feel like I've found my color, which is pink. um, and I've always gone back to the pink. I don't know what it is about it, but it feels like me and um, I'll go back and forth with colors every once in a while, but pink always makes me feel like it's just the color of love. So it's a good
Mhm.
like energy to emit, and I get a lot of compliments that it looks like natural on me, and yeah, I don't know.
It's funny too. It's like it looks, but I know they mean like it looks natural, like it suits you. But it's
Yeah,
also funny that's like it looks natural, like here it comes from like the reverse, which is
I
kind
was
of
born
funny.
this
It's
way.
like for some reason I just thought of like like the old. I don't know why this is like, but like the old like Play-Doh, and it's like you squish it, and then it's like the different colors. Like I just imagine like you like pink hair just like forms and just comes out of the scalp as is.
I love that, but it was such a bitch to clean. You can never get it out of the holes all the way, that
No,
damn
no.
Play-Doh.
That just tells us we're like such 90s kids. Like that used to be enough for
Right?
us. It was like
Oh my God.
Play-Doh, Legos.
So simple. So
Yeah.
simple. Yeah, so I don't know if that answered your question, but
Well, yeah, because I think, for me, I feel like I kind of discovered that so late in life. Like, I think I've only like experimented with wigs like a handful of times. And when I did, I
yeah.
was like, whoa, like, this is like why people kind of like, because I understand like the total, like, and the freedom just in getting lost in just this different version of yourself and the confidence that can be found in that. I
Hmm.
think that's so exciting.
It is. It's so much fun. It's like we live these short lives. Like, why not have fun?
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
who you want to be, you know?
Yeah. And it's, and that's what I think is like so tragic. It's like, because I feel like I'm only like 27, but I feel like, I don't have any regrets, but I wish I was like more like, oh, I'm just going to go for it, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess that's part of like, you realize that now. So it's like you can do what you can to like curb that. Do you
Yeah.
have any regrets? Do you have anything you want to do differently?
Hmm. Um, yeah, I mean, I do think I look back and I think about some things that like, oh God, why did I do that? But at the same time, like I almost don't believe in regrets. Like I feel like it worked out the way it should have and you're here in this moment and that's why that happened that way in the past because if you change that one thing in the past, your life might be like 100% different right now. You know what I mean? So,
True.
yeah, there's definitely things that, oh, maybe I wish I would have, done this differently, but at the end of the day, I trust that like I'm on the right path, you
Yeah, and
know.
I think too, like we're like approaching. I mean, we're not like about to be 30, but we're approaching 30, so it's kind of just like It's weird. Like I never thought anything beyond being like 22. So I feel like
Literally
every year is a
21.
surprise. Yeah, it's a
Yes.
surprise. Did
Yeah.
you think that you like where you are right now, like what you're doing? Because right now you're managing this incredible salon. Like, did you
Hmm.
see that coming? Like,
No, and this is the craziest thing ever because the way my life has led to this point is absolutely it just couldn't be more meant to be is how it feels to me. Like I've worked at a salon before for a couple of years, and um I feel like it was like my preparation for this. And even though there was jobs in between, then and now, there's a reason why I worked there and I got the experience that I got because it just taught me so much, and I'm just so thankful for it. It wasn't easy. Um but shout out to my to my old manager there because she taught me like how to do what I'm doing now, and it's um it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's really come completely full circle because I feel like this is what I've been working for. I've been that girl just trying to get to the top for so long, and now I finally like got there, and
oh,
it's crazy. It's crazy to like have that moment of realization like, "Oh my God, I'm the manager now, bitch." Like, you know. I don't know. It's so cool. And it's with my best friends like in the world that own the salon, and I'm like so happy. Like for a job, it doesn't really feel like a job. Like everyone's friends. It's like a family, and it's so much fun. I love it. I'm
and
so happy with it.
I also feel like you have such like a sense of like, okay, full circle. Like, how did you develop this? Like, was it something that you knew that like every step I take, it's gonna eventually add up to something, or was it something where it was like, it took you a while to build up this sense of like, I'm gonna just move the way, the universe is like putting me. Oh, I'm gonna have faith in like where the universe puts me and guides me. Is it something you grew up with, or something you kind of developed along the way?
I think I definitely developed it along the way. I feel like throughout my life, I've been like kind of lost. Like I really always felt so lost. Like I don't know what I want to do. I changed my major in college like 8 times. I could never like settle, or like I couldn't decide. I felt so like I don't know, just very indecisive. And I just really rolled with the punches. Like whatever job I could get, I would take, and usually it was like through a connection or through a friend or something. And yeah, I just really went like one step at a time. I never thought I would be a manager somewhere. I always had the plan of like, you know what, I'm going to just start my own business or start my own practice of some sort. And I don't do well with like being told what to do. So I'm going to, that's all I knew was like, I'm going to work up to that. I'm going to work up to like being my own boss and doing what I want to do and having that freedom. That's all, that was like the bottom line for me. But I
No, I
just kind
get
of
that. I
ended
get
up
that.
here. Like it just fell into place. This whole manager thing, like for me now, it just fell into place. Yeah, I don't know. Super thankful for it though.
That reminds me of this book, Outwitting the Devil. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's one of my favorites. It's a Napoleon Hill book about it. It's pretty much like a conversation with the devil. And
Hmm.
one of the parts he goes into is like a lot of the way that he controls the world and like the way that like he takes you away from your path is like the idea of the drifter. And it's kind of the person that doesn't really, by like getting caught up in distractions or just not able to like settle on something, he can in a lot of ways distract you from your ultimate goal, which is like to add on and like to build on top of in the world. And the book is just really brilliant because it brings up the idea of the drifter. And I feel like I can relate with that. Like I feel like, if you don't like attempt to control your life and like where you're going, you're always going to be beholden to like the external and the people that are around you. And I think the
Hmm.
really big step and like that shows like real growth is the ability to kind of step on your own and then just be like, I'm going to trust that like everything that I've learned leading up to this point is going to guide me to the right place. I definitely recommend if anybody wants to read that. But I think
What's
that
it called
the
again?
kind of Outwitting the Devil.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, it's a really good audiobook on YouTube as well.
Oh,
But yeah, because I feel like similar, like I feel like, I feel like I was somebody who like thought I knew what I wanted, and I thought I knew like I wanted to pursue things in a specific way. And then it kind of got to a point where I just like, wow, I have like no ownership of anything that I've created. It was like
mm-hmm.
everything was kind of like built upon the backs of built upon the back of like a support system, or like friends that I had, or like ways that I, or like, whether it was like financial, I needed to like rely on certain things for like not having specific financial needs that I needed met, or whatever it was. And I think that like the universe at one point just like took everything away and was just like, you're gonna now, like, now it's your turn to like really create the life that you want to create. And I think I still feel like in a lot of ways I am kind of drifting, but at the same time it's like purposeful drifting. Like it's like I just
I
want to
like
like
that.
explore like the like who I am and like create my voice. And I think, I envy, like I would love to like get to a point where I'm like, oh, like this is like what I'm doing and this makes sense and this is how, because I feel like at some point things will click like that. But I'm just not there yet. So it's like, I don't know. It's exciting to see a friend like get to a point where it's like this is like a fantastic first step, and I can see like why everything kind of worked out the way that it did.
Yes, because honestly now, and I know we're approaching 30. And I'm 27 as well, but for some reason, like, I keep telling myself I'm 28, and I'm like, chill out. Like, what? Why are you doing
I mean, the way we've
that?
been stuck in the house, we're both going to be 28 by the time we get out of here. But I guess Florida's lifting its restraints.
Yeah, Florida's pretty normal now. Yeah, I'm like, time is a blur, whatever. But now I do feel like I have more of like a sense of where I'm going and like what I want, what my skills are, my what my assets are, and like what I can bring to the table. And it's just, I don't know, just building on that. And yeah, now I kind of have more of like a clear focus of, okay, this is like what I want long term. It's a little more clear to me now.
Yeah, that's a beautiful
Yeah,
thing. It's such a beautiful
it
thing,
is.
especially because I feel like it's right on time. Like, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like you either like, as crazy as things are, you need to get on that track, or you're kind
Yeah,
of just going to be like stressed out the whole time. And
yeah.
I think that's what's so exciting about where the world's going, though. It's like, if you can kind of flow with the unknown and flow where things are going, you're gonna just see like a lot of beauty and wonder in the next few years for sure.
Yeah, like even with how crazy things are in the world, I mean, I can't help but feel like everything has been super abundant in my life, and I've never really felt that way. Like I feel like this is the first time that and I've prayed and I've asked for abundance 1,000 times, but for some reason these past few months, it's finally like
I
really
can
been
agree with
handed right
that.
over to me. It's
It's like I can
insane.
agree. It's so weird. Like I
Yeah.
literally feel like I've been starving, and like
Hmm.
that's the ironic part. It's like I've never felt this like, wow, like I can actually explore my interests, and I'm not like reliant on like my lack of funds and my lack of abundance doesn't beholden me to anything really. Like at any
Hmm.
time I feel like I could leave and do what I want to do and take control of my life. And it's something I've always felt like kind of trapped. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like weird because it's like, yeah, I would pray and I'd say like, please get me out of the situation. And I think at one point it was just kind of like God was just like, you will when you're ready. You will when you're ready. And then before I thought I was ready, he was like, okay, now.
You're like,
And I was
oh
like,
my God, okay.
whoa, like, am I? And it's still been a period of resetting for sure. But at the same time, I think that like I'm enjoying it. Like I don't feel as nostalgic as I did, I would say. Like in the beginning of the year, I felt super nostalgic. I was like, oh, I wish things could just go back to the way that they were, like normal. But then now I kind of just feel really at peace. Like I've never felt this sense of peace that I've had. And I'm really grateful for that for sure.
That's awesome. I kind of agree. Yeah. I mean, I feel like right now it's just like we said last time, it's like really surrender is like really powerful. And I think when you can truly surrender is when things fall into place because for me, I feel like I was always like blocking myself, and I always had these like blocks, like whatever it is, just something was in the way, whether it was
Mhm.
myself or what, but it feels like it's been lifted,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Do you think that it's like because of your growth spiritually, it's allowed you to lift those things? Like, do you think like becoming more aware of that part of yourself?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I feel like um the more so like I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I got certified, I think it was about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And so it's been like a journey for sure, because there's moments where you think like, oh my God, the healing isn't working on me. Like I'm doing something wrong, or like, am I doing it like good enough? Like
Mhm.
there's these moments of self-doubt, and what I've learned through the whole journey is like whatever comes up, even the self-doubt, things like that that come up, it's coming up for a reason, and it's ultimately for you to release that and release those ideas and move past it. You know what I mean? Like don't let that hold you back anymore. And the more that I've like just dove into that and self-healing, like healing myself on a regular basis, um I've like let go of so many things that I can't even remember almost. It's almost like it just leaves.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a painful journey. Like sometimes it'll be like a really emotional release, or memories come up and it's like you have to cry it out. Other times it's like it just kind of goes away. And then you feel lighter, and you can just move forward in like a different way. Um, but yeah, I definitely feel like the more that I grow spiritually and have this connection with God, like um, it feels a lot easier. And opening myself up to God, and I feel like God is like a triggering word for people, but getting past that even has
It's
has
just so
made a big difference for me.
strange. And
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe at one point was triggering for me. I literally saw somebody write God on Instagram, and it was like lowercase g, like asterisk, and then D. And I was like, what? This is like the weirdest way.
Okay, please no. Can we please not do that to God? God
I
has no
was like,
gender.
why are you
Okay.
writing it? I just think it's so, because I remember I grew up in a very religious household, and I felt like I couldn't really connect. Like I would pray, and I just felt like I wasn't never feeling return. I would get really frustrated. I'm like, I thought that you pray and then you get what you want, and I kind of fell away from the church, and I feel like what brought me back was like I was living in California and just kind of feeling like everything I thought I wanted was not what I wanted, and I just couldn't like figure out how to make it work. And I would just like pray and be like, just get me out of this. And then ultimately it led me to getting baptized. And I never felt like ever like, I mean, I knew that like, okay, you get baptized, but in my head I just thought of it as like cleansing. I was like, I'm gonna get baptized because I just want to start everything over. Like everything just feels like foreign and not what I want, like
Hmm.
not the true me. So let me just like restart, like as if
Yes.
going back into the womb. So I got baptized in the ocean, and it was like a really like it was weird because it was like I knew something had changed in me, but I didn't know what. I was just like, oh, I just felt better. Like I just wanted to physically wash away everything I kind of had gone through. And I think that that's kind of, the crazy part was like just how much changed after. I felt like that was like a giant domino that just kind of like turned, and everything changed after that. Everything that wasn't everything that was not in alignment with like my path kind of went away. And I was terrified. I was like, what did I do? But I think it also just allowed me to like really create a relationship with God that I feel like I'm, like I can, it's like you start recognizing so many things that have always been around you, but like were
Hmm.
actually put in place to help you understand like where you are on your path, and like
Hmm.
noticing things like, I mean, it always sounds silly, but like the synchronicity of numbers and like different
Hmm.
like like light sound codes, and like understanding like
Hmm.
animals, and like the spiritual meaning of like when you come in contact with different beings. And that in itself has just been such a journey. I feel like I'm only at the beginning of it, which is like so exciting to me. I thought I'm gonna end up like this like woman in the woods, like with like a pipe, like watch the leaves and they'll tell you where you're going. I can definitely see that. If I
I
ever
could see
make
that
it
too.
out to Wyoming like I dream. Um,
Yes, I fully support this future of yours.
One day I'll
Oh
be
my
with
god,
Kanye
that's
at his
hilarious.
spiritual center and I'll just be like the woman that stays there.
I love it.
That'll be my title, the woman that stays there.
Yeah,
Um,
it's very ambiguous. Yeah, it's funny because I feel like our spiritual journeys are pretty similar.
mm-hmm.
Like I grew up not like in a super religious household, but definitely with like Christian values in the home and like reading the Bible at night and going to church on Sundays. And when I was, I think I was around like 11 or 12, I got baptized Catholic, which was different. And
Different.
I don't know, whatever. I didn't really like understand what was going on, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. I feel like I was too young to like really get it. Um, and then yeah, and then in high school, when my grandfather passed away, I like got really mad at God, and I was like, "How could you do this to me? How could you take
Mm-hmm.
away my grandfather? I was so close to him, and it just broke my heart. I mean, losing a loved one is never easy, but I really got mad about it, and I just completely like shut myself out and just blocked it off completely. And then once I was in college, like later college years, I think I was probably like 21, 22.
Mm-hmm.
I started getting into like looking into like the Wiccan practices and like their beliefs. And a lot of it was like centered around nature, which I always felt really connected with. And it made sense to me. I think I was just so desperate to like identify with something, you know what I mean? Just trying to
Yeah.
find that like what really resonates with me because I don't know. And I feel like God never answers, like you said, like I'm praying and it doesn't make a difference, you know? I totally gave up on it. But um, yeah, then I kind of turned like spiritual, and I feel like spiritual and religious are like kind of different. So I leaned more towards like practices like yoga and meditation and crystals and sound frequencies. But honestly, the whole COVID thing is what made me come back to like my sense of God and like who's really in control because we aren't. As
Yeah.
much as we want to be full of ourselves and think that we run the world, I mean, we really don't. We're so small, you know? And I think just
Yeah.
remembering that is so, so crucial. And just, I don't know, sense surrendering to God again and just finding that connection again and being thankful for everything and being thankful for the journey and even apologizing and being like, I'm sorry, I was so mad at you, you know? Uh,
Definitely. Definitely. Because
I
I
don't know.
think that also it's like there's such a difference when you're a kid and you're kind of like taught like this is like how you,
Yeah.
but I think, I remember growing up and being like, it's okay. And pastors would tell me it's like it's the one thing for you to be raised in a religious household, but it always is important for you to create your own relationship. I never would understand. I'm like, how am I going to create my own relationship if God's not talking back, like, returning my
Yeah.
calls?
Yeah, exactly. It's hard for a kid to wrap your head around like something like that and just
Mhm.
really like that inner knowing and like the inner trust in this higher being and I don't know. All I know is since I've done that and since I've kind of like reconnected myself, that's when everything became so abundant for me.
Mhm.
Period.
I can
I don't know.
agree because it's like, and everyone's journey is different because it's like, I think that like the crazy part is like, even if you make this kind of connection with God and you kind of take this path, like you could still be
Hmm.
led towards like insanity. And
Yeah.
I think that's like another test. It's like a test upon a
Mhm.
test upon a test. And it's like, you still have to trust. Like you still have to trust that even though you're being brought into this crazy situation, you're still on your path and you recognize the divinity of your path. And that's like, to me, like so beautiful. And there are
Yeah.
days where it's like, I'm like, why is this happening like this? Like, this is not how I thought things were gonna be. But then, like, I'll have moments in my life where I'm like, I remember writing in my journal something similar to this, and I didn't know how I was gonna get there. And I think, you get so caught up with like your plans and how you think that things are supposed to move. But I think I just realized at one point that I was like, I'm a terrible planner, and I need to not plan. But at the same time, I think it's important to also say that it's like I think I got to a point where it's like you're wondering like the difference between free will and like if you're being moved to your past. And I think it's a bit of both. Like I think
Yeah.
life presents you. Well, I have this favorite Thomas Sowell quote where it's kind of like life doesn't give you what you want; it presents you with options. I think that's kind of how God is.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
He'll open up your eyes and help you see things you didn't see, and then He'll present you with options and may not even be like, here, this is this option. It might actually just be like, wow, I didn't know I was interested in this. I'm going to go for
Mm-hmm.
it. And
Yeah.
so it's like you have to find that balance. And I think that like once you say yes to one thing, once you say no to one thing, and you become more confident every choice and kind of step that you make too, which adds up to something in the end anyway.
Yes. Yeah. Like, where are you being led? The little
Mm-hmm.
choices and like moments of inspiration that may come to you. It could be a little, higher being influence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
what's
then
so
it's like,
exciting.
who knows like where you'll end up from there. It is
That's the
very
fun part.
exciting. And I feel like now, like with everything, media wise and just so much propaganda, so much misinformation. I mean, it's bad. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like having like a spiritual back, or just even like a connection to your intuition, and like really feeling into your intuition, and I think that is what can help us through being, what's the word, influenced like in the wrong way, or coerced, like, help me out. How do I
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that we're
explain
definitely
that?
experiencing spiritual warfare for sure. And I think that,
Yes,
like,
that's exactly it.
if you don't have an understanding that, like, how should I say this? If you don't have an understanding that, like, different entities, sometimes you don't know if they're good or they're bad, sometimes they can influence people one way or another. I think that you can definitely get caught up in things. And, I'm not saying, like, you have to think a certain way or if you're not influenced a certain way. I just know, like, in my life, there are certain things that have shown up in my life that have kind of shown me, like, oh, this is, like, how things really are. And then it's led me to have more information and more information and more information. And I think that, like, especially where we are right now, a lot of like light beings, a lot of like really positive people can be attacked by these entities that kind of just want to bring down your frequency. And I think
Hmm.
that's kind of what's happening in the media in a lot of ways. It's like, you turn something on, and it's just bad news. And it's like if you let that drag you down and forget that, like, we're not on, we should be trusting man anyway. Like, so it's like, yeah, you tell me the world's on fire, but if my heart tells me that we're headed to something beautiful, like I'm gonna follow my heart, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
We need more of that. Like, and it's crazy because even before now, I mean, I think now my eyes are more open to it, but it's always been this way. But like even growing up, like my grandparents always had the news on 24/7, but it made me so anxious. Like, I hated watching it. I hated when it was on. I still don't watch it because it literally invokes fear immediately.
Yeah.
It just never, it never felt right, or never felt true. So I can't imagine like the younger generation and how they're affected by this. And I think of my sisters who are like 12 and 14, like, how will they, how are they taking this all in, and being influenced in so many different ways, like with your screen in your face all day. It was so much different when we were growing up. We didn't really have that.
Yeah. It's a lot now.
Crazy.
Like I feel like like we were so different because we remember what life was like, when the internet was kind of just starting and you got like a dial up and like you didn't even really want to use the internet because dial up was so shitty and like, someone goes on the phone and you can't even
That
go on the
noise.
internet anymore. So it made sense to just go outside. But yeah, like my nephew, he's 9 and he has like a neighbor who's like 10. He's like a YouTuber. He's got like millions of subscribers. Like he's a whole career where he plays like Fortnite. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like I can't
What?
imagine growing up like that. But it's like, yeah. So that's why, like, I don't know, like this whole I just think that further also just kind of tells you how amazing this country is, because it's like we literally live in a country where a 10-year-old can become a multimillionaire for playing
Right.
video game. Like I
Sorry, that's privilege right there. I don't know what else that is.
So, side note, this is where we're at.
Right.
So yeah, it's a whole new world for them. But I also feel like, it's an adjustment. Like I feel like for us, like our pivotal moment was like September 11th. Like I feel like everything. I feel like we've been on like a downward spiral since September 11th. I think things have just gotten
Seriously.
exponentially crazier since then. But maybe this is like that moment for them where it's like, wow, like life is so fragile. And but also, it also could be kind of a semi, like a little bit of a blessing too for a lot of these kids. I mean, if they're in a situation where they are in a loving household, I think if you're not,
Yeah.
it's a very different experience. But if you
Mm-hmm.
are in a loving household, a lot of these kids haven't even seen their parents for months. They've been
Yeah.
busy, they have their own lives. So it's like this might be the most time they spend with their parents like ever. So I think it
Yeah.
just depends on like the scenario. It's definitely weird. Like I wouldn't want to be stuck at home going to school. I could barely go to class and focus
Right.
as it is, let alone like I heard this really funny story of this kid that like photoshopped himself in bed, or like he took a photo of himself in bed. Oh wait, no, he took a photo of himself on like his Zoom call. So when his
Okay, yeah.
teacher was in class, they thought that he was on in class, but he was really in bed. And so he got caught because the teacher like was calling on him, and he was like this like
It's like
still.
funny.
And I was like, that's hilarious. That's something I
Yes.
would try. Like I'd be like,
Right.
I'm just gonna record myself like I'm in class and then just go to sleep. What I don't know. They probably aren't gonna learn anything, but what are you gonna do? I can't imagine
Oh.
the attendance rate is too high.
Ay, ay, ay.
Which that scares me the most. Like we already have enough dummies walking around.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see how the cookie crumbles.
That's how it starts.
Right. Oh my God. Well, I feel like that was all that we had to cover for this week. I think we had a great conversation. I always enjoy our talks.
Yeah, I feel like it's really been therapeutic just kind of like having a nice quiet time to just kind of go through just what's on our minds and just being expressive. But yeah, this is
Yeah.
episode 2 of But Like Why the podcast. Thanks again for joining us, guys.
Thank you. And you can catch us on Spotify, YouTube, and if you have Anchor, there's like a ton of other platforms that you can listen to us. So please join us next week.
Take care. We'll be
Yay!
dropping this on Monday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.